presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Oakland.
It is an absolutely glorious weather night in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. This 10-game homestand continues as the Philadelphia Phillies come to town to take on the Cincinnati Reds. And hi again, everybody. Look who's back. The Cowboy, Jeff Bradley. Jim Day will be along in just a moment. Now, you just had neck surgery, and you're doing all right.
I am. I'm doing fine. I may have this badge for a little bit, but I'm going to be making it. I'm happy.
Well, you made everybody happy because you're back and because we're not wearing ties tonight. All right, now, fit to be tied right now is this Reds offense. They're striking out a lot, Cowboy. They're not walking very much. These numbers are staggering.
Well, they are staggering, and what it tells me is that when you lose a guy like Joey Votto, I think everybody in the lineup, even with Jay Bruce back, still not quite healthy. Everybody's trying to do too much. Everybody's swinging a lot of pitches. Everybody's trying to do things that they probably are not comfortable doing. And with that being said, that's why you see the strikeout numbers.
And wouldn't you know it, when you're going through that kind of offensive rut, you're facing a guy who's been the best pitcher against your team than any pitcher in the league over the last 7 years in Cole Hamels.
Anytime you face a big league pitcher that has done well against you, it's going to be tough. But this guy has never lost against the Reds. How does he do it? A lot of fastballs on the inside part of the plate. But Tom, his best pitch is the changeup. And when you can locate inside and then be able to go back away with the off-speed stuff, you can tie up even the best of hitters.
And this is what Jeff alludes to. 12 starts, a 9-0 record, an ERA at 1.5, and they've never lost a game, the Phillies haven't, when Hamels has started against the Reds. Okay, that's on their side. But hang on a minute. The best pitcher in baseball gets a ball tonight for the Redlands.
Well, the Phillies were fortunate. They did not face Cueto in the 3-game series in Philadelphia. Not so fortunate tonight. When the Reds play and Cueto is on the mound, yes, he had a little bump in the road. Last time out against Arizona, he threw the ball awfully well. I think we are going to see some serious pitching tonight.
All right, so settle in for a while. The Reds and the Phillies in the opener of this 3-game series. And when we come back, this bullpen, which has been the strength of the team over the last 5 years, everybody's healthy, and my, are they coming on. Jim Day has that story when we return.
The telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, my goodness, we need a few wins here, don't we? First pitch tonight, mostly clear, 78. Halfway home, 74. Heading for home, 71 degrees. Here's a little quiz for you. What position did I play in Little League? Catcher. That's right. I was an all-star catcher. I couldn't hit the ball to save my life. Couldn't at all. But by the time I got to college, playing softball, choked up a little bit. Boom! Right field line. Third base in no time at all. Enjoy the game, everyone, on Fox Sports Ohio.
Very enthusiastic, Jim. Thank you very much. Jim Day with you on the field. You know, since the Reds won the division in 2010, we have gotten spoiled with not only good starting pitching, but a solid bullpen. Now, to start the season, that was not the case in the bullpen because of injuries, etc., and guys just not pitching well. It wasn't good, but look at the numbers over the last 10 days. An under 1 ERA. That spans 28 2/3 innings pitched. 31 strikeouts in that time. Indeed, they got Chapman back, and everyone moved back to their normal spot, and it is certainly working for the Reds. You look at the numbers, just compare the beginning of the season and then since May 19th. Through May 18th, last in the league in ERA, last in the league in walks per 9 innings out of the bullpen, and 11th in home runs allowed. Now, since then, look at the ERA. Second, and first. They will certainly take that. It's been part of the formula of winning baseball for Cincinnati, and right now, that formula working well. Friday night fireworks. The Reds hope the fireworks are off their bats. Johnny Cueto goes to the hill. Phillies and Reds are next.
Fox Sports Ohio brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good, it's Skyline time. Beautiful look at the skyline in Cincinnati, Ohio. Right along the banks of the Ohio. Great American Ballpark. And let's take a look at Ryne Sandberg. First-year skipper of the Philadelphia Phillies. His lineup presented by Meyer. Jimmy Rollins, Carlos Ruiz, Chase Utley to start it. Ryan Howard, Marlon Byrd, Dominic Brown in the middle. A latter third of John Mayberry, Reed Brignac. And Cole Hamels on the mound. Johnny Cueto tonight gunning for win number 6 on the year.
And that will be the key to any lineup that faces the Reds with Cueto on the mound. Establish that fastball early. The one guy in this lineup, Tom, that I think you have to look at, Marlon Byrd. He has that slider kind of bat speed, and he usually can connect on that cut fastball from Cueto if it's not in the perfect spot.
All right, we are set to go. Jimmy Rollins will lead things off for the Phillies. He spent his entire career wearing a Phillies uniform. And he swings at the first pitch, fouling it back out of play, and we're underway. In fact, Rollins is only 8 hits shy of setting the Phillies all-time franchise hits record. 2,227 career hits, trails only Hall of Famer and Ohio University alum Michael Jack Schmidt.
That's some pretty good company.
1-2 to Jimmy Rollins. Sean Barber behind the plate tonight. Chris Guccione at first, Paul Noward at second, and the crew chief Tom Hallion, the umpire, down at third. Cueto rocks, spins in the 1-2, and that's a call he wants tonight from Sean Barber.
This is patented Johnny Cueto. This ball was probably looked at as up from the home plate umpire, but that comeback fastball, Cueto's going to want that, and he's going to want that pitch, a backdoor cutter. And this is where Cueto is trying to fill out the umpire early. He started off the plate, trying to bring it back to the corner, and that one just stayed a little bit off the plate.
They all pitch to Rollins, and it's popped up and out of play. Well, Cowboy, it's so nice to have you back. I know you've been back the last few days over on the radio side, but it's just nice to have you back, period.
I'm just amazed, Tom, that you can have neck surgery and be able to come back. And I mean, this was last Friday. Folks at Beacon and Ian Rodway that did my surgery, I don't know what to say other than thank you very much. The pain is gone, and that is a good feeling.
In the air over by the Philadelphia third base side dugout, and once more out of play, so an extended at bat. Boy, they do an incredible job at Beacon. I know that, you know, there might be some out there say, oh, wait a minute, they handle the Reds, you guys work for the Reds. Believe me, all that goes out the door when you're in pain or you need surgery. And Dr. Krengchuk and that entire staff over there are just phenomenal. Phillips will throw out Rollins after an 8th pitch at bat. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Ryan Ludwig back out there tonight in left field. Ramon Santiago gets a start at third base, and Todd Frazier moves over to first. Pena pretty much has become the guy to handle Cueto on the mound, and why would you mess with that combination? Cueto 91 1/3 innings this year. You almost think it's a misprint when you look at the innings pitched compared to base hits allowed. 91 1/3 innings. Cueto has given up 48 base hits. And, you know, when you start combining the hits and walks ratio, they call that WHIP. That's an acronym for walks and hits, innings pitched. Since 1914, no Reds pitcher has had a WHIP of under 0.8 after 90 innings. Cueto's is under 0.8. He's at 0.7. That means he's allowing less than a hit and a walk, or the combination of the two combined, per inning.
Well, just being at 1 is Hall of Fame caliber. I mean, there are just not too many pitchers, and you can look the numbers up yourself, where you have walks and the hits that you've allowed during the season that will equal your innings pitch. It just doesn't happen, and you can look up the biggest names out there.
We look at a guy yesterday who was dealing against the Reds in Madison Bumgarner. I mean, just on hits alone, he's given up more than a hit per inning. Forget the walks. He was ready to throw that thing around the infield, and Cueto maybe for the first time early on showing a little bit of frustration here, and you can understand why.
Well, he's got a young umpire behind the plate, and I think the biggest thing right now for Johnny is, I don't know that he's upset inside, but you try to get that umpire to go with you, especially early in the ball game.
Carlos Ruiz did not go around. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, you hear the term so many times, expand the strike zone as a pitcher. Well, you don't only just do that by the pitches that you throw a little off and then a lot further off and then come back right on the plate. You do it with a good acting job as well.
Well, we talked about that whip of 0.76 for Cueto, the lowest in a season. Was turned in by Pedro Martinez, that unbelievable 2000 year he had for the Boston Red Sox. His was 0.74. And a little dribbler that will stay foul, and smartly Cueto will go over there and just make contact with it before that thing maybe adds some spin and comes back fair.
And it looked like it was starting to come back towards the fair part of the field. Yeah, Ty, I think you look at batters and you say, okay, does this guy have more walks than he has strikeouts? Or you look at the hits and compared to how many times he's been to the plate, how many times those have been for extra base hits or hit the ball out of the ballpark. What is he hitting with runners in scoring position? But when you look at a pitcher and your walks and hits don't add up to your innings pitched,
Santiago will throw out Ruiz. So the first 2 batters in the inning each come up with 8 pitch at bats. 2 are out.
That's one of those types of ball games as a hitter. When you're facing a pitcher like Cueto, boy, you are locked in. You have to be. Every pitch, every at bat, or Cueto is going to put an 0 for 3 on you in a snap of a finger.
So now Chase Utley back healthy again and is putting together a good season. Not a lot of power as far as home runs, but how about the doubles? He has 23 doubles, most in the league, has 3 triples, 4 home runs, and 28 runs batted in. This guy's been among the best second baseman of his generation.
Now, offensively, it's difficult to get to where this guy is. He has got a tremendous balance at the plate, and from his elbows to his fingertips, he is some kind of strong.
Jam shot flare into right field. It'll fall in a base hit. So a 2-out single by Utley. And the inning will continue for the big first baseman Ryan Howard.
Tom, you were talking about the surgical procedures and those types of things, different hospitals, different doctors, different places. Well, I've had 8 of them in 5 different states, and I'll tell you what, these folks here at Beacon, it doesn't matter if you're a baseball player or if you're the president of the United States or if you just need surgery because your neck is bad on that given day. They take care of you like you are the #1 issue for them that day.
Yep. Strike 1 to Ryan Howard. 227 batter. He does have 11 home runs. He does have 40 runs batted in. Of course, you talk to the Philadelphia people and they'll say, well, the batting average isn't much, but he's on pace to hit 33 bombs and knock in 120 runs. Hard to argue with those kind of numbers.
There's no doubt that this guy still has the pop in his bat. The biggest thing for Howard right now is just getting the timing back. I don't care how big a fella you are, how much muscle you got, what kind of bat you use, timing is everything.
Pence at the top of the leaderboard, where you don't want to be in strikeouts among all National Leaguers. And his teammates right behind him, Marlon Berry. A lot of strikeouts for the Upton brothers there.
Yeah, and there were a whole lot for him last year as well.
2-1 the count on Howard. And there's a strike on the outside corner. From a changeup on a 2-1 pitch.
Both of these clubs, the Phillies and the Reds, have struggled offensively from the beginning of the year. But that Atlanta ball club, they really struggled.
And there is strike 3 called. Cueto finally gets one to go his way. A lengthy first, but a scoreless first. Inning of a scoreless game, and let's take a look at Brian Price's starting lineup tonight, presented by Meyer. Billy Hamilton, Brian Pena in the 2-hole, Brandon Phillips in second, Todd Frazier, Jay Bruce, very good career numbers against Philadelphia. Ryan Ludwig in left, Cozart, Santiago, Cueto the latter third, and certainly one mighty tough customer on the mound. He's had to deal with injuries again the early part of this year, but for whatever reason, when he faces the Reds, he is on his game.
I think the biggest issue for Hamels is being able to establish the inside corner with both the fastball and that cut fastball early in the game. If he's able to do that, he makes it a long day.
Billy Hamilton, first pitch swinging. That's easy. 1 pitch and 1 out.
I think you look at a guy like Cole Hamels and you think to yourself, okay, well, he's going to make me chase that changeup off the plate away because he's left-handed and the ball will run away from me. It's really the opposite. He is going to pound you inside and try to break your bat. And then once he gets to the second or third time through the lineup, then he's going to have you out there looking for the changeup.
Brian Pena at 269. 3 home runs and 13 runs batted in. Pena had that season-long 9-game hitting streak coming into the Giants series, but he went through that entire series without a single hit. So you figure he's due to get this thing back rolling again. It's been so good for the Reds this year. Whether he's behind the plate or logging a lot of time in Joey Votto's absence over at first base.
I think the one thing that Brian Pena brings to this club that is sorely needed is energy throughout the ballgame. Constant energy, constantly pushing guys in a positive direction. And when you play every day, it's tough to be the one that's the motivator.
Hit that ball hard, but a liner right at the shortstop, Jimmy Rollins, 2 out in the inning. Take a look at Philadelphia on defense. John Mayberry Jr. in center, flanked by Dominic Brown and Marlon Byrd. Brignac going to get playing time down at third base for the time being. Rollins and Utley up the middle for a long time, along with Ryan Howard at first, and Ruiz hanging his signs for 30-year-old San Diego native Cole Hamels. A first-round pack back in June of 2002 was Hamels. He's won 100 games in his major league career, while losing 77 and a career earned run average of 3.3. When healthy, he has been one mighty fine pitcher for a long time. He had a good year last year as far as the numbers outside of the wins and losses. Of course, it was another down year for this Philadelphia franchise. Hamels had an ERA at 3.6, but he lost 14 games. And there you get a look. Only Sabathia, Burley, Lee, his teammate, and Lester have won more games as a left-hander in Major League Baseball since Hamels came up in 2006.
The thing about being a starting pitcher, you really can't control how many runs your team will score on any given day. The one thing that you can control is how many the opponents score. And like you said, Tom, if the Phillies aren't scoring, well, then you're not going to get a whole lot of wins as a starting pitcher. Because even if you shut out the opposition, 0-0 doesn't qualify you for a win.
And of course, we remember what Hamels did to the Reds in that 2010 playoff series. He pitched the final game, the clinching game, a complete game 5-hit shutout. Fan 9 did not walk about it right here in this ballpark. And there's strike 3 called, and the Reds are gone in order in the bottom of the first inning. Pitchers with an ERA of under 2 with 90 or more innings pitched leading up to the beginning of June. Look at the names on that list along with Johnny Cueto. How about the big unit? Roger Clemens, Jack Morris. That is pretty doggone good company. I saw that 2000 year with Randy Johnson. Whew.
And you wonder, well, will Johnny run out of gas? Will he run out of incentive because the club's not scoring runs behind him? For a guy that had to come out of a playoff game, I guarantee you that's the one thing that burns in his belly as much as anything.
Marlon Byrd, very good career numbers against Johnny Cueto. A ground ball to the third baseman Santiago.
And really, Tom, the ball game last year for Johnny against the Pirates, you can call it a playoff game, however you want to call it, but I just don't know that Johnny was anywhere near 100%. Now, was he game ready? Was he wanting the ball? Sure he was. But was he the Johnny Cueto that we're seeing right now? No.
Strike one to Dominic Brown. This time a year ago, Brown was the talk of Major League Baseball. He had a monster month of May, which eventually propelled him into what turned out to be a career year. He had 27 home runs, knocked in 83 runs, and wound up in the All-Star game. Well, he has not been nearly the same player since then, and many would argue that he was never anything other than what he is right now before that unbelievable first half of last year.
The problem that Dominic Brown has, and there are a lot of big league hitters that have this issue. They can hit the ball that's middle in and they can hit it a country mile. But the ball that's middle away, that's not a ball that they're able to handle or drive with any power whatsoever. And if there's a hole in your swing, even if it's microscopic at this level, maybe not only have they found it, they are going to feed it to you with a spoon, fork, and sometimes a knife.
2-2 on Dominic Brown, and a bouncer at Brandon Phillips. And that'll take care of the first two Phillies here in the second inning. And a reminder, as always, coming up a little bit later on in our telecast, we'll have our Miller Time moment presented by Miller Lite. Boy, what a beautiful day and a beautiful night. These last 2 days are the kind of days you file away in your memory as perfect summer days.
I agree.
Around 78 degrees today, 75 yesterday, no humidity.
You show up at the ballpark on a day like today and you think, let me get mine, because it is nice. A lot of folks here tonight. It's game on.
0-1 to John Mayberry Jr. And Cueto will handle the one hopper back to the mound. So a much more efficient pitching inning for Cueto. Reds will come to bat, bottom of the second inning in a scoreless game.
Reds on Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day up here in the suite level, and a very special guest. He threw out the ceremonial first pitch tonight. He is actor-director Don Cheadle. I'm sure you know him. And tell everyone why you're in town. You're in town to a very special movie.
Yeah, we're shooting a film called Miles Ahead that's about the music and the life and the love of Miles Davis.
Where did do you have a love for Miles Davis? Where did the interest come from you?
You know, I've been into his music since I was very young. You know, when I was raiding my parents' record collection, it's one of the earliest records that I saw was his Porgy and Bess that he did with Gil Evans, and I latched onto that, and then that just sort of opened me up to all of the albums, and now I have so much of his music. I'm just a huge fan.
And I understand you're shooting the entire movie here. Why Cincinnati?
Well, you know, it's great here because it's a period piece based in New York, and there's not a lot of 1950s to 70s Manhattan left. So it's great that there are places here where there's still that kind of architecture and you know, angles that we can shoot where we can believe that it's New York. Also, the town's just very film friendly, and it's really becoming a film town, and it's a great incentive here for us to be here, and the people here have just opened their arms to our production, so we're very glad to be here.
Well, the movie's called Miles Ahead, and your ceremonial first pitch, dare I say, was miles ahead of 50 Cent. You went to the top of the hill and threw that bad boy.
It's what the people wanted. I gave them the choice. They said move back, so I moved back.
Very nicely done. Well, we appreciate you coming to Cincinnati and shooting a movie, and it is terrific to see you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate it.
Everyone treating you well in the baseball circles here?
It's been great. I mean, just walking through here, you know, all the fans, you have such great fans, and everybody's been real cool. I met half the team. It's a nice experience.
Well, nice experience to sit by a real star.
Oh, so what are you suggesting there, Jim?
I'm suggesting
that you're around a bunch of stiffs?
Pretty much, yes.
Well, I can understand. No, before you let him go now,
yeah.
Jim, I understand that for whatever reason, and you might want to ask him why if we've got a minute, 2-2 to Frazier, because I understand that, you know, he was in the Ocean's 11 movie with obviously George Clooney, who grew up not too far down the road in Kentucky. But I understand both of them are big Reds fans. Now, why would he be a big Reds fan?
Ocean's 11, you're with George Clooney, obviously. He's from these parts, a Reds fan. So did you guys talk baseball at all?
We did talk baseball. I mean, he really had designs on doing it when he was in high school, and he thought maybe this is something I could do. And he said he stood in with a guy who could really throw some heat, and he said the breaking ball was coming about 10 feet out. He just hit the deck and looked up, and everybody was looking at him like, really? And he said, yeah, I think I'm going to be an actor.
That's why you have stand-ins and stunt people, stunt double.
Yeah, we don't stand in front of 90, 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Somebody else does that.
Well, we don't either. We just talk for a living. So there you go. I got to drop George Clooney's name on the air.
There we go. Well, it's great to have him in town, and we hope his experience is a great one. Jim Day's everywhere. He rubs elbows with all the big stars. I mean, you know, whether it's with him or Charlie Sheen or whomever it might be.
All day Jim Day.
Exactly right. And he basically called you a stiff, Cowboy. He called you a stiff.
I know. And I know I've been stiff from surgery, but geez, cut me a little slack.
I mean, I'm standing up for you. I can't believe he would call you a stiff.
Threw me right under the bus.
No doubt about it. Chris Welsh, too. Well, it's pretty sad.
I thought we had a pretty good relationship.
1-2 on Jay Bruce, and he's out of there on strikes. And Cole Hamels has fanned 3 batters in a row and retired the first 5 Reds to face him in the game tonight. Well, let's see here. Paul Popple is our Toyota contestant tonight. If a Red hits a home run off that sign out there, Paul is from Urbana, Ohio. He would win the beautiful new Tundra. And you can register for your chance to win it at an upcoming game. To stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Paul, good luck. Two away in the inning, and Ryan Ludwig the batter, and he's down a strike. The Philadelphia Phillies come limping into this series. I mean, if you think the Reds are going through a tough stretch, the Phillies have lost 6 in a row. You go back to May the 4th, 1 month ago. The Phillies were a game over 500. They were a game and a half out of first place. And they had just beaten the Washington Nationals in a series 2 out of 3. Since then, 9 wins, 20 losses, and slipped another 7 games out of first place. So this team is really scuffling right now. And if there's ever a team you want to jump on and get them down early, it would be the Phillies, the way things are going right now. Cole Hamels appears again to be very sharp. That 0-2 pitch just missed the inside corner.
You have a club that has been used to losing, and I use that term lightly because you should never get used to losing at the big league level.
High fly ball in a short left field, and Dominic Brown in to get it. Back-to-back 1-2-3 innings. We'll pick up that thought when we come back. No score.
Of the 2014 first-year player draft, the Cincinnati Reds select Nick Howard, a right-handed pitcher from the University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Well, that was the announcement yesterday made by the Commissioner of Baseball, Mr. Bud Selig, and the Reds out of the University of Virginia. Their closer, right-hander Nick Howard, pitched in 27 games this year. 19 saves for the Cavaliers, and they'll be playing their, at least for the time being, ACC rivals, although the University of Maryland, of course, is moving into Big Ten country starting next year. But Nick is kind enough to join us on the telephone. And first of all, young man, congratulations. Where were you when you heard about being selected by the Reds?
Thanks, guys. Actually, my family, my dad, mom, and brother and I, we are sitting in the hotel room, and we're streaming the draft link from my mom's iPad, and we hooked it up to the TV. And, you know, I still really can't believe that, you know, Bud Selig called my name. And I'm very thankful to be a part of the Reds organization now.
You know, Nick, a lot has been made already here in Cincinnati, and you've obviously answered questions. I'm sure you're tired of answering them, but we're going to ask them again since you were kind enough to join us on the phone. You know, the first thing people hear is they hear closer, and they're thinking, well, you know, the Reds have been down this road before with some of the guys that came out of college. Look at Tony Cingrani in their starting rotation right now was a closer, and they moved him to becoming a starter, which that is the plan, as we understand it, that they have in mind for you. How do you feel about that?
Right. I mean, it's an awesome feeling to think that the organization possibly thinks of my talents in the same and similar fashion. And you know, again, whatever the organization wants me to do, I'm more than willing to do it. I mean, being a closer this year, it's been a lot of fun. But last year and last summer, you know, I was a starter. So whatever route they choose, I'll be more than happy to do it.
Nick, did you pitch a lot when you were growing up, or were you mostly a position player? Because I know you can handle that bat as well.
Right. Well, growing up, I wasn't that much of a pitcher. I grew up playing for my dad in Little League, and you know, he's been around baseball, so he knew not to throw too many curveballs at a young age. And I've been very. And in high school, I started pitching a little bit more. But again, I'm very thankful for the people that have surrounded me, and you know, they haven't burned me out or anything, so I feel fresh and ready to go.
Is there a pitcher, Nick? I'm not going to ask you to compare yourself to some guy who's won, you know, 150 or 200 games in the major leagues.
Yeah.
But if there is a pitcher out there maybe that has the same kind of style of pitching or repertoire of pitching, is there a guy out there in the big leagues right now in that same sort of vein?
Well, I think there's guys that I truly admire how they go about their business. I mean, naturally being a closer, you look at guys like, obviously, in the Reds organization with Aroldis Chapman and how he just attacks hitters with his fastball and then tries to throw the slider to get change hitters' eye levels. I'm not comparing myself in any
I know you're not.
He's a big leaguer, but I mean, just the aggressiveness that he has, I like to take note of that. He's a great guy to look up to, I guess, and how to close the game out.
So I take it, Nick, that you love the adrenaline at the end of the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that hasn't experienced getting the final out, it's truly something else. I mean, people are on their feet, ready to end the game, and it's truly an exhilarating experience.
So if you guys get to Omaha, and hopefully that you will, would you rather hit the walk-off home run, or would you rather strike out the final batter for the championship?
I think I'm going to pull the pitcher's card on this one. I'd rather strike the last guy out. You know, have the dog pile out now. But I mean, as long as we're coming out of that game with the win, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Good answer, baby.
Well, Nick, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us. The best of luck beginning tomorrow against Maryland, and hopefully right on through to the College World Series in Omaha. Congratulations, young man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Look forward to meeting you in person sometime soon. Good luck.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Bye.
For a great value this summer. It's called the Kroger Meal Deal, and you're not going to beat it. Check concession stands around the ballpark. The Kroger meal deal includes a hot dog, a bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, a Quaker Big Chewy granola bar, all for $9. The Kroger meal deal. No score. Reds bat here in the bottom of the third inning. It'll be Cozart, Santiago, and Cueto against Cole Hamels, who's retired all 6 batters. You know, the Phillies are chasing. We brought up the Atlanta Braves earlier, and the Braves sit atop the division. But don't look now. We're starting to talk about the Florida Marlins. The Miami Marlins are known as now, of course. But you know, that Miami team, I tell you what, Cowboy, they've won 4 in a row. And by winning yesterday, Atlanta was off. The Marlins are now tied atop the division. Today, they came to bat in the top of the 9th inning, trailing 3-0 against the Cubs. They tie the game, and they're still playing in extra innings.
That's part of why I was talking when Pena came to the plate earlier for the Reds. That energy, that constant push in a positive direction, it's invaluable in this sport, because 162 games and 182 days is an absolute grind. It's very difficult, as we see Cozart reach on an error here. It's very difficult to come to the ballpark every single day and be ultimately motivated. But if you have guys around you, and a lot of young players are that way, they are so enamored with being at the big league level, they can't wait to get out of the bed and get to the big league ballpark. That Miami club is young, they are hungry, and they are playing like it.
Well, they ruled that a base hit, and now Santiago putting down a bunt to advance the runner in front of the pitcher, Johnny Cueto. 1 away in the inning. And you wonder, was Santiago asked to do that?
Well, I think in this ball game, he may not have been asked to do that. He may have been trying to drag bunt down the third baseline. But with a guy like Hamels on the mound, as well as he's pitched against the Reds, Johnny Cueto for the Reds, 1 run, heck, 1.5 runs right now might be the trick.
All right, so they have Cozart out in scoring position for Johnny Cueto. And it's ball 1 away.
I mean, Cueto is a pitcher when it comes to hitting at the plate. But he's got a bat. He's got a runner in scoring position. And if he flares one in, Reds have a chance to get one on the board. You never know what could happen.
You never know. We'll be keeping an eye on the Brewers tonight. They are opening a series in Pittsburgh. And the Pirates have jumped out to a 2-0 lead. That game in the third inning. You see St. Louis playing at red hot Toronto, the leaders in the American League East. Cueto trying to push a bunt for a hit there and fouls it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, Tom, going back to the Miami ball club and the youthful exuberance that they have on that club, and obviously they have a tremendous amount of talent as well, especially with the guy Giancarlo Stanton. We know what he can do. That's the kind of club that you say, okay.
High bouncer and a foot race to the bag, and it's Howard who wins it. On the third goes Cozart. 2 are out in the inning.
That's the kind of club where you say, okay, they're playing very well. They're winning ball games. They're winning close ball games. How will they play when they realize, okay, we're not just the ones that are sneaking up on everybody. Now everybody's coming to town knowing that we've got a pretty good team. How will they respond? You hear it all the time. But the bottom line is, right now they're coming to the ballpark ready to beat your brains out every day. And that's what you want. If you're Brian Price, that's what you want from your ball club. If you're Ryan Sandberg, that's what you want from your ball club. I don't care how many years you have in the big leagues. You want your guys coming to the ballpark every day, hungry and ready to make a difference.
Billy Hamilton flied out to right field on the first pitch of the game, thrown by Hamels. They're tucked in on the corners naturally for the speedy Hamilton, and he takes low and away for ball one. Hamilton had a very good series against the Giants. Now in the final game he went 0 for 4, but he was robbed on a pair of hits. The dazzling play made in right center by Hunter Pence leading off the bottom of the first inning, and then a great play by Sandoval down at third.
Slowly but surely, it seems like Billy is making that adjustment to try to keep the ball in the air as short as possible. The line drives, the hard ground balls, the big high choppers at the plate. The more he can make that adjustment, the better he's at doing that, the better this Reds club will be, as will Hamilton.
Fastball off the inside corner, 2-1 to Billy. No score in the game. Reds have Cozart at third base with 2 out. Two and two to Billy Hamilton, and Hamels to the plate, and a ground ball to the shortstop. Inning over. Reds get a hit, leave a man at third. End of 3, no score. .com. Al McCoy available on the Game Day Live page. See why Todd Frazier is hyping up the Reds dugout with his unique handshakes. And Zach Jackson profiles a future Ohio State football player that is sure to get him excited. Brought to you by 1-800-SAFE Auto. Drive safe. Spend less. So here we go in the top of the 4th inning. And we're pretty much right on schedule when Cueto and Cole Hamels get together. Neither team with a run, each team with a hit. Ruiz, Utley, and Howard due up here in the Phillies' 4th inning, and it's strike 1 to the catcher, Carlos Ruiz. Well, this is a Philadelphia team, and right before your very eyes has grown quite old. Doesn't mean they can't still play. But it is certainly a team with a lot of miles and a lot of wins for a long time. You may remember in 2008 You know, they won the whole thing. 2009, they got back to the World Series, lost to the Yankees. And since then, it was a step-by-step, steady decline. They lost in the League Championship Series in 2010. They lost in the Division Series in 2011. And then in 2012 and 2013, no trips to the playoffs.
And that's when you sign those types of players, your players that have carried you to the postseason, into the World Series, to those long multi-year deals, you just hope that they don't grow old collectively. And if they do, you hope it's kind of staggered a little bit so they're not all on the disabled list at the same time. And that's kind of what happened to the Phillies the last couple of years.
Well, I got a piece of Chase Utley. So he singled in the first inning, hit by a pitch here in the third. Yeah, I mean, you know, the end of it 2011, I think most people remember that series when they lost to the Cardinals in the division series, and on the final out of the series, this guy right here, Ryan Howard, tore his Achilles tendon. They had to carry him off the field while the Cardinals were celebrating.
And he's really not been the same since.
Chase Utley, up until last year, had pretty much been hurt for the better part of 2.5 seasons. They bring in another veteran player, Marlon Byrd. They sign him as a free agent. They bring in another veteran pitcher, in A.J. Burnett.
And you like to have that veteran presence, but the veteran presence has to be productive. You've probably got the veteran of probably their longest service time guy at shortstop in Jimmy Rollins, the former MVP. Now, it does not appear that Jimmy has lost a whole lot, even as he's aged. But let's face it, shortstop is a position where you got to cover a whole lot of territory. He's hitting in a spot that's the leadoff spot, where you're expected to not only be able to get on base, but to steal bases as well.
2-1 to Ryan Howard. He struck out looking against Cueto, ending the first inning. And that's strike two.
Now, when teams sign you to those long-term deals, it's not to say, okay, we appreciate what you did last year. Of course they do. That's one of the reasons that the contract is there. But we want you to keep winning. We're not just interested in you just showing up and playing out the deal.
You know, it's amazing. Teams talk about not wanting to give those long-term deals, yet every club continues to do it with, in some cases, almost reckless abandon. And then they look 5 years into a 7 or an 8 year contract, and they're like, holy mac, runner goes and a foul ball out of play. They're like, we've got to watch this the next 3 years. Yet they'll turn around and do it again.
And we're going to see that exacerbated even to a greater extent after what we've seen in Houston with Singleton signing the contract and having not even a day of big league service and signing up basically a 5-7 year deal. And there are going to be a lot more teams that do that. Oh, he got it big time.
Well, he was leaning on a 3-2 pitch. And Utley picked off at first base for the second out of the inning.
Well, it looked like Utley leaned in on the pitch that he got picked off on, and it looked like he leaned into second base as Cueto threw to first. Well, that's a rough spot to be in right there. I think the term for that is no man's land.
So now Cueto has full attention on Ryan Howard, and a 3-2 pitch. Up and in, a fastball. First walk of the game by Johnny Cueto. He had a very odd delivery there. Almost like he stopped in the middle of it. Right here.
I think we see that a little bit when we watch Alfredo Simon pitch. I think you see that from certain big league pitchers, that if you've got confidence that you can make a pitch sometimes just a little bit of movement out of the ordinary may throw that hitter off. And with as fast and as good as Cueto is throwing the ball right now, if he can get him to think about anything other than trying to hit, he might have a strikeout. He just didn't get the ball over the plate there.
Did you say right now or rat now?
I said rat now. As in rat now.
Nice. 0-1 on Marlon Byrd. And he's hit with a pitch. 3 batters in a row. Cueto has hit a batter, walked a batter, and now hit a batter. And that is something you never see from Johnny Cueto.
Well, you're going to see Cueto pitch inside. That is a given. But watch what this ball does. It starts outside, and it runs hard up and in to Marlon Byrd. There's 2 outs in the inning. Marlon Byrd has hit you with reckless abandon. Did he try to hit him on purpose? No. Or not in a way that I'm going to say yes. But if you're going to come in hard, that's a pretty good time to do it.
And now a line drive will get Philadelphia on the board. So Cueto wildness comes back to bite him. And 2 runs are going to score on a double by Dominic Brown. How about that?
Looked like Ludwig misplayed that ball as it came off the wall down in the corner. A cut fastball. Tried to get it down and away, and it got back over the plate. And that's what the Phillies are preaching to Dominic Brown. The ball that's away, drive it away. Don't try to pull that ball out of the ballpark.
Well, it wasn't 3 minutes ago where Cueto had picked off Chase Utley after hitting him with a pitch with 1 out in the inning. That was his 2nd out of the inning. Threw ball 4 to Howard. He hit Marlon Byrd. And on the very next pitch, Dominic Brown a double. And now Cozart has that one dribble into left field. Scoring is Dominic Brown. A base hit by Mayberry. And it is 3-0 Phillies.
This ball was hit off the end of the bat. I think Cozart thought it was hit harder than it actually was. It looked like he dove over the top. And normally that's a play that Zach at least keeps in front of him, not allowing the runner to score from second base. But Tom, I think Johnny lost his concentration a little bit. You relax a little bit after you pick the runner off.
A roller by Brignac, and that's all. But damage done, and major damage done. A 3-run 4th inning against Johnny Cueto. Our game storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Worst record against an opposing starter going back the last 100 years. Well, the Cubs never beat Randy Johnson. 14-0 for the unit. And Cole Hamels is 12-0 against the Reds.
It is amazing when you look back over the history of the game and you see how well a certain batter did against a certain pitcher, and that pitcher may be in the Hall of Fame, a first ballot Hall of Famer, but yet there may be an also-ran guy that hit 800 with about 10 home runs against him. It's what makes the game great.
Well, now all of a sudden this Reds offense really needs to get something going. I mean, you could have said the same thing 2 days ago when the offense shut down after scoring some runs early against the Giants. Ryan Vogelsong, they mustered next to nothing after the first inning yesterday, getting the 1 run against Madison Bumgarner. They had their final hit and final base runner in yesterday's game. Todd Frazier had a 2-out single in the 3rd. And they have 1 hit through now 3 1/3 innings against Cole Hamels here tonight. Strikeout number 4 for Cole Hamels.
It's going to be very difficult to get it all back at one time, so you've got to play for incremental runs. But at this point, you've got to get somebody on base first.
Well, the Reds' only base runner, and you could have made an argument it was an error on the 3rd baseman Brignac on that bouncing ball that he played off the side of his body that Cozart hit leading off the 3rd. You can understand his scoring decision because he never touched the ball, but he certainly did not play it well. And that's the only Reds base runner so far tonight. Look out. Oh man, I think the usher or one of the fellas selling ice cream or something like that, a young man got it on the right shoulder. Certainly hope he's all right. This ball went all the way to the end of the Philadelphia dugout.
Now you get fooled on a changeup. You try to extend a little bit, not only with your hands, but with your shoulder, and the bat just flies out.
There's a little flare into right that'll fall in a hit. So the Reds will take it. A base hit by Brandon Phillips. And that young man appears to be okay. I tell you, it'd be nice to see Brandon Phillips give that kid a bat. I guess he's selling raffle tickets in and around the ballpark, but looks to be all right. But man, you get hit, there he is right there. You get in the shoulder with a flying bat. That doesn't feel too good.
No. I don't care how much muscle you got up top. That bat's hard. And coming a long way in the air.
All right, now Todd Frazier, he struck out his first time up. Reds down 3-0 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Through a fastball by him. Well, Todd Frazier is our steel power tool performer. 10 home runs at home. Look at some of the names on that list. We've already talked about Giancarlo Stanton. Troy Tulowitzki's almost unconscious at home, and Justin Upton has 10 of his home runs at Turner Field.
You know, it tells you a little bit about what is going on in the lineup for the Marlins, and I know we talked about them earlier, but with a guy like Stanton in the lineup, you would think, okay, that's the one guy I'm not about to let beat me, so I'm going to pitch around him. I'm going to pitch to the other guys. Well, evidently those other guys are hitting the ball pretty well because they're having to face him, and when they do, he is hitting tape measure shot after tape measure shot.
Well, you and I both liked the look of Ozuna when he first came to the big leagues. He's got a boatload of talent, man. Now, it's raw talent. There's no two ways about that.
And for the longest time, Casey McGee, the former Milwaukee Brewer, who they just let go, I mean, he was the one that was batting behind Stanton and doing well.
Frazier's homered in back-to-back games. Wednesday, he got Vogelsong off the fair pole down the line. And then in the first inning, after Billy Hamilton was thrown out trying to steal third base, Frazier went the other way into the first row. And now a broken bat bouncer to short. They only get the lead runner Phillips, and there are two away in the inning.
Almost looked as though Phillips was hollering as he was coming into second. Here I come, look out. I'm
coming in hot.
I'm gonna get you.
Well, he knows the feeling.
Yes, he does.
Now Jay Bruce, he struck out swinging. His first time up. Phillies, like everybody else, they put the big shift on Bruce, and well, he comes flying out of there and barely taps that one off the end of the bat foul.
Reds have really got to get this guy going. And Votto as well whenever he comes back from the disabled list. But those two guys in this lineup, without them, we see how much difficulty it's been putting runs on the board.
Well, the first game of the homestand, Bruce, you may remember, got his first RBI since coming off the disabled list. He had a double, a single, stole a base, knocked in a couple of runs. And even though he would have an RBI double in the second game of the series, that was a game where he had a couple of big at-bats and struck out. Struck out 3 times in the game before a hitless game, like a lot of his teammates, I might add, against Madison Bumgarner yesterday.
Well, the problem for Jay right now, it just seems like he's starting a little early. He's out in front of almost everything. Even the balls that he hits hard are balls that he's pulling foul. And you just wonder in his mind, maybe the knee is totally healthy physically, but in your mind, maybe you're thinking, all right, I've got to do a little extra. And when that happens at this level, just that least little bit of being off kilter, or you talking about throwing you in the cellar.
Strike machine tonight, Cole Hamels. He's been a strike machine for a long time when healthy.
I guarantee you, Cole Hamels on the mound, when you see a batter, whether it's left-handed or right-handed, you see that front shoulder open, the bat head is already out in front, and then you have to lunge to foul the pitch off. You just expand that plate even further. Make the break a little bigger, take him outside a little more.
That's what he did right there, and Bruce does not chase him.
And normally, as a hitter, when you hold up on a pitch like that, you make the pitcher come back to you.
Well, the runner will get started. Frazier over at first base. 2 are out. 3-2 to Bruce. And another foul tip.
Hamels has been aggressive. He's been down, and he's been in the zone, as we showed you earlier with those pitches and the difference between the strikes and the balls. There are not a whole lot of the latter.
And Bruce, a nice piece of hitting right there.
Outstanding.
Rolls it the other way, and on to third goes Frazier, and that's a good at bat right there for Jay Bruce. The Reds have him on the corners with 2 outs in the inning.
Hamels was dead set to go back out there, especially after Jay pulled off the pitch earlier. Not a whole lot of body movement there. Jay just trying to make sure that he got the bat head to the baseball. And he did that. Put on a shift like that with a runner on board. Slap it through the left side.
Now you need a big hit from Ryan Ludwig. Reds are trailing here 3-0. But some 2-out noise after the single by Bruce. Ludwig flied out to left his first time up. Ball 1.
You know, and Hamels has to have it in his mind. I know Ludwig here wants to try to hit this ball out of the ballpark, be a hero at home, tie this ball game up. If he does give you something inside, he's going to cut it in on your hands off the plate and try to make you pull it foul or break your bat. Right now he's staying down and away, hoping he can use Ludwig's aggressiveness against him.
Oh boy, that's a fastball right there on a 2-0 count, and Ludwig unsure.
That's a swing there. 2-0, 3-1. You see it where you like it. You want to come unglued. You don't want to be indecisive there.
You mentioned another count, a good hitter's count. 2-0. Fooled him or unsure. Took a check swing. Well, now 3-1. As Hamels just come right back at him with that same 2-0 fastball. Back up through the middle. Rollins will handle it, and the inning is over. Reds strand 2. We go to the 5th. 3-0 Philadelphia.
Getaway sweepstakes on board the Fan Express. Enter today's keyword, laps, on the entry page at foxsportsohio.com to enter. Stay tuned every day for a new keyword and a new chance to win. I'm Jim Day, right by the Reds dugout. We told you last night that Matt Latos, the organizational decision on whether to send him out for one more rehab start was not made. Well, they made that decision and announced it today. Latos will indeed make one more rehab start. It will come up on Monday. Location TBA. He says he's ready. He says he could pitch right now. And to say that he was unhappy about making one more rehab start might be an understatement. The full story, check out foxsportsohio.com. Tom?
Well, Jim, you're right about that. I was stunned. I think everybody was stunned. I think everybody in the Reds organization was stunned at really the way Latos came out swinging today, for lack of a better word. And the organization said, look, this is a plan we had. We told you about that. You had the calf cramp. Whatever it was, you had to leave the game. And before we're going to put you into the starting rotation of the Major League Ball Club, we have to know ahead of time that you could get up to 100 pitches in a game. And this is the way we feel about it. And Latos feels like, I'm ready right now. I would have thrown 100 pitches in that game. And man, oh man.
Look,
his comments were unbelievable today.
Everybody's not going to be politically correct, especially when it comes down to the competitive nature of a lot of these guys. It's just part of the process. When you want to get back out on the field, sometimes you're madder than a wet hornet when you don't get the chance.
That one down the right field line, and that is a home run for Jimmy Rollins.
First pitch changeup hit it out of the ballpark.
Rollins, his 7th home run of the year. This is a Phillies team that has lost 6 games in a row. And they are in front of Johnny Cueto 4-0.
Bell-tied changeup. Jimmy Rollins, from I can remember back in spring training in his first year in a Phillies uniform, he's always been able to handle the off-speed pitches.
And Cueto comes back and unloads one of the screen.
I think that's out of frustration more than anything else.
And then right down the middle at 93, 1-1 on Carlos Ruiz. This crowd is just stunned here tonight. Every time Cueto virtually takes them out, every time out, you've pretty much been guaranteed 7, 8, 9 innings. 2 runs, 1 run, no runs. And after 2 were out and nobody on in the 4th inning, he walked Ryan Howard. He hit Marlon Byrd. Allowed a double to Dominic Brown, a single to John Mayberry for a 3 spot in that inning. And now a home run to Rollins with 1 out here in the 5th. And a base hit by Carlos Ruiz. Well, right now you can tweet your photo using #OhioFanPhoto, and perhaps we'll put it on during a game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. It is brought to you by AT&T.
Now the biggest thing for Cueto right now is he's just got to start over in his mind. You got to forget about what's happened. Go back to executing and making pitches.
Chase Utley has been aboard twice. He had a single in the right field in the 1st inning, then got hit by a pitch with 1 out in the 4th inning. Then Cueto picked him off. Well, you look out from where we're sitting here to the Ohio River, and of course more and more boats beginning to cruise up and down the mighty Ohio, and rolling hills, and everything so plush and green on this beautiful, beautiful night. Man, is it nice. Would be a bad night hanging out on that baby right there, would it?
No doubt. Wonder if I could catch a few bass off the side of that.
Well, of course you could. Maybe some catfish right around in that area.
Maybe I can pull that up on the pond out in Jackson and throw a line in the water. Be looking good.
You're looking real good. You know, I can almost see you wearing a captain's hat, a white suit coat. Captain of a vessel like that.
Captain hat with that big crease right there in the front with a cat diesel lid. I'll be looking sharp.
That is a foul ball.
The way I look at it, as long as the thing floats, I can fish off of it.
Well, every time we see the Phillies, it makes me think of one of the one of the best guys you've ever met in your life to be around. Was a great player for a long time, Richie Ashburn, and for a long time he used to announce the Phillies games with Harry Kalas, and boy was he quite a character. And he told the story about the 1962 New York Mets, one of the worst teams in the history of baseball. He was their best player. He won the team MVP award at the end of the year. And they gave him a brand new boat. As soon as they put it in the water, it sunk to the bottom almost on cue.
Swiss cheese, huh?
Emblematic of that New York Mets season. And when he would tell that story, you would be rolling on the ground in laughter. He was a guy that every time he saw you, he'd say, "How we doing, Pally?"
Yes.
And then he'd say, "Did you hear about the fight in our clubhouse before the game today?" And you'd be like, "No, you got to be kidding me. Who was going at it?" And he'd say, "Whoever your team had pitching." Let's just use Johnny Cueto. Guys were fighting one another to get in the lineup against this guy you're pitching tonight. He was something.
Yeah, if you were warming up the night before and you didn't get in the game, he'd drop that line on you.
That's right.
Did you see that fight in our dugout last night? They were waiting for you to come in for the bullpen, Pally.
Oh, man. Tell you, we're losing a lot of good ones.
Boy, he and Harry Kalas were some kind of combo now.
Mm-hmm. Three and two on Chase Utley. One on, one out, one in here in the Philadelphia fifth inning. And that one served into left field. That'll be another base hit. On to third base goes. Throw there. Sliding safely into the bag and beyond the bag is Ruiz. Utley, a couple of hits, has been on 3 times tonight. And Jeff Pico will come visit Cueto on the mound. Well, catch Fox Sports Ohio's coverage of the Reds during this season with MLB.TV Premium. Visit Reds.com for more details. Well, Cueto's got to find a way, Cowboy, to get it together, because this is bordering on getting away from you.
Well, he does, and it has much less to do about right now tonight than it does about starts that come after that. The last thing that you want to do is to get into bad habits, get frustrated, do things that you don't normally do. And right now you really erase what has happened in the fourth, and here in the top of this inning you just forget about it. Go after the guy at the plate and
limit the damage from here on out.
Well, he's got Ryan Howard, who struck out looking in the first inning. Howard drew that 2-out walk with nobody on in the fourth inning, and little did we know that would be a string of what turned out to be 5 straight Phillies to reach base, 3 of them scoring. Foul ball.
The one thing that you can't do as a pitcher is worry about your own offense. And if you come into a ball game and you think, okay, I've got to throw a shutout in order to win a game, you're going to have a tough time on the mound. And if you give up a run or 2 or 3 in the ball game and your team doesn't look good offensively, you can't let that bother you. That's not your job. Your job is to get the other team out, and you've got to stay with that. And you've got to continue to motivate yourself in that direction. And you let those other 8 guys take care of the runs.
Well, the Reds have action in their bullpen for the first time tonight. Logan Andrusik is ready in the bullpen. And here's strike 3 called to Howard. So that's out number 2 in the inning.
Cut fastball right on the outside corner. And that is your Cholula hot sauce flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula hot sauce.
You're a big fan of Cholula hot sauce.
Yes, I am. I like it on my chicken wings and on my scrambled eggs.
Ooh.
Because if you're not awake by then, you will be.
2 on, 2 out, a run home, and it's Marlon Byrd. He was hit by a pitch by Cueto an inning ago and scored along with Howard on the 2-run double by Dominic Brown. Rollins is homered here in the Philadelphia 5th, and the Phillies with a 4-0 lead. Threw that one right by Byrd, a ball and a strike. Of course, Byrd hit the home run off Cueto last year in that 1-game playoff for the Pirates after the crowd had gone crazy and Cueto dropped the ball while they're chanting his name. And I mean, it was certainly a night that a lot of Reds fans, and Johnny Cueto in particular, would love to forget all about. Byrd was one of 2 real key acquisitions, you may remember, the Pirates made right around the deadline. He was having the best year of his career, was Byrd. They brought him in, and they brought in Justin Morneau. Byrd gave him a big lift. Morneau really didn't do much of anything. Straight up in the air, and this should end the inning. So the Phillies get the home run by Rollins. They strand a pair. Middle of the 5th, Cueto and the Reds are down 4.
when they take on the Phillies here at Great American Ballpark. Tomorrow, the first 20,000 fans receive a Reds cap thanks to Fox Sports Ohio. For tickets to this exciting weekend of Reds baseball, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or Reds.com/tickets.
All righty, Reds coming up here with Cozart, Santiago, Cueto, maybe in the bottom of the 5th inning against Cole Hamels. Reds have only had one major scoring threat that came with 2 outs in the 4th inning. They had runners on the corners, Frazier and Bruce. And Hamels got Ludwig to end the inning on a tapper to Jimmy Rollins. Cozart has something to say about that called strike. 1-1. Cozart, a base hit by the third baseman his first time up. You be the judge.
Well, the key for me at any of those calls at home plate, are they strikes all night? If they are, if they've been strikes from the beginning of the ball game, well, that's part of it. If they're not, and he just pulls some random call out of his hat or out of his mask, if you will, well, then I've got a beef at home plate or on the mound for that matter.
Well, 3-1 on Cozart. You need base runners here, and Cozart a big swing on a 3-1 pitch, fouled away.
Of course, you hear the comment as soon as I say that. Well, the strike zone is the same every day, all day for everybody. It's a uniform strike zone. Well, let me tell you something, folks. That ain't happening. It's different every day, all day, depending on who's behind the plate in that uniform.
Under the glove of Jimmy Rollins. And Cozart has his second hit of the game. I would imagine Santiago will not try and bunt this time. Hey, remember, that's what he did and was credited for a sacrifice after a leadoff single by Cozart in that 3rd inning. But of course, it is a pitcher spot who was batting behind Santiago then. And Cueto is batting then. It looks like they've already made the decision that Cueto is not batting here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Well, early in the ball game, if the game plan is to play for 1 run, I don't know how you can find a way to do it, but there are some that could give Santiago a pass on that bunt. But right now, it's 4-0. Swing it.
Big crowd on this Friday night at Great American Ballpark. Crowds have been great during this entire homestand. 80,000 roughly for the 3 games, and that's during the middle of the week. And school for most of the kids, most of them, came to an end today. A lot of them, because of all the snow days this winter, drifting into next week, if not longer. There's one. And a throw not in time to double up Santiago. 1 out in the inning. Well, we called it Reds Live, the pregame version, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing, and we have it 30 minutes before the start of every game right here on your exclusive home for Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio. Be coming your way a little bit earlier tomorrow. Don't forget, if you're coming down to the ballpark, it is a 4:10 first pitch. We rarely have that start time. And so 4:10 tomorrow. Reds Live will get underway at 3:30. But if you're coming to the ballpark, please keep that in mind. Late afternoon tilt mañana. Chris Heisey bats for Johnny Cueto, who gives up 4 earned runs in 5 innings. It's only the second start all year that wasn't a great start. I mean, not second poor start. It's 2 not so good ones and 8 or 10 great ones for Cueto. Two out in the inning.
Tell you, Hamels has an awfully good idea about not only how to pitch, but how to approach certain hitters. You get a pinch hitter off the bench. The adrenaline's pumping for that hitter as he comes to the plate. And what does Cole Hamels do? Shows you the fastball or that hard cutter in off the plate. Not anything you can do anything with. And the pitch that he gives you to hit is a 73-mile-an-hour changeup. That draft that's going on right now, they draft you on the tools for the most part that you have from the neck down. You get here and you stay here from the neck up. Everybody played shortstop, pitched, and made the all-star team that are standing out there today.
Mm-hmm. Want to know to Billy Hamilton, who is flied out to right and grounded out to the shortstop. He has Santiago out there at second base. Reds down 4-0, batting in the bottom of the fifth with 2 away. I want to recap the first 3 picks in the draft. A pitcher who's a closer, but the Reds want him as a starter. That's Nick Howard out of Virginia. Out of Stanford, Alex Blandino. The Reds believe he will be a shortstop moving forward. And Taylor Sparks in the second round, a third baseman out of Cal Irvine. Boy, pretty nice play right there by Brignac. Perfectly timed to jump, or that ball's rattling around in the corner. Group, let's create great dishes together by Toyota. For over 30 Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. By B-Dub, spend $30 on a gift card for dads and grads. They'll give you a $5 bonus. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. And by Kingsford Charcoal, slow down and grill. Apparently, baby brother came along out there, Cowboy.
Well, he had the rods in the back of the pickup truck. He pulled that baby up to the side and said, all right.
Yeah, I mean, this is a silly question. I mean, you know, if you got to have one of those or the other, you're taking the big one, right?
Well, it depends on how big my pond is. On the river, I want that big one. But there are some uses for that little one, too.
You better believe that. That is a sweet boat.
You know, especially if you've got like a little small dam in between a couple of small ponds. You rev that baby up and do a little skipping from one pond to the next. Logan Andrewson.
He'll take over for Johnny Cueto. And he bounces that first one up there. And a swing and a foul ball back out of play by Dominic Brown.
Dominic Brown, even with the ball that he hit down the left field line earlier, not a guy you want to come in on for a strike.
Foul back out of play. 2-2 on Brown. He had the 2-run double down the left field line off Cueto in the 4th inning, getting Philadelphia on the board. And then he scored. The very next batter, John Mayberry Jr., knocked him in with a single. And he's out of there on strikes. Well, since the bullpen has gotten healthy, Cowboy, we know this has really been the #1 strength of this Reds team more than any other area over the last 5 years. And early in the year, when you don't have Marshall, you don't have Broxton, you don't have Chapman, you don't have Simon, it was ugly.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with guys not only trying to get things figured out from a pitching standpoint as far as breaking balls and fastballs. It just seemed like as a group they just had a tough time getting things going in the right direction. And when you don't have your closer, I've seen this happen so many times. When you don't have the back end of the bullpen solidified, everything else falls apart because all the other guys are trying to do too much, trying to move up. Okay, if I strike this guy out, then maybe they'll move me to the back part of the bullpen. It happens more times than not. You solidify the back end and everything else falls into place. And that's exactly what's happened with the Reds.
Well, Chapman sitting there alongside of Nielsen Antigua. Swinging a foul ball back out of play, and it's 1-2. We're talking about Mr. Antigua out there, the first-year bullpen catcher for the Reds. And boy, Jim Day came across some great stories about Nelson and the time he spent, Jim Day, with Bronson Arroyo of all people.
Yeah, well, we were in Arizona the first day when everyone was greeting Bronson Arroyo, and all of a sudden he said, Nielsen, Arroyo did. And we're like, well, how do you guys know each other? Well, apparently he caught Bronson Arroyo in the Pirates minor league system back in '96, '97, and basically taught him everything he needed to know. He said that he, along with Aramis Ramirez, basically owe him everything. That he had to come pick them up every day. He had to, when their electric got turned off, he had to teach them how to pay their electric bill. And he credits Bronson Arroyo for teaching him to speak English.
Really, to survive in America, right, when he first got here.
Correct. And Bronson Arroyo says those guys owe everything to me. And talking to Nielsen, he said he's right.
I can identify with that because I can remember playing down in winter ball. You go down there, you're on your own. If you don't speak Spanish, you're really on your own. And not only reading the menus for food, reading the directions or the signs that are on the street. I mean, I didn't know the difference between stop, yield, which car was going which way. I couldn't do anything. And even if I did speak Spanish, this accent I've got didn't quite go over real well.
So I mean, was there one guy that really went out of his way to help you out down there?
Juan Augusto.
Sure.
Left-handed pitcher for the Cardinals for many years, pitched for the White Sox as well. He was awfully good and helped me a lot, just steering me in the right direction and, telling me really where to go and where it was safe, where it was not, how to get from one place to another. And, when you're new in a country, man, you know nothing, especially when you can't speak the language.
That's why I've always really marveled at the Latin player that comes here and leaves where they're from with really very little education in most cases, not every single one of them, and to just be dropped in the middle of nowhere. There's ball 4. A walk to Brignac in front of Hamels with 2 away here in the inning.
I can remember going to a restaurant, a drive-through. Pulled up. Lady asked me, I figured she was saying, "Can I take your order?" I had no idea how I was going to order the food. It was a chicken place. And
Pollo.
That's right. Pollo Loco. This place, I finally just pulled around to the window because I thought, well, she's not going to understand a word I say. I tapped my chest twice. I said, "I want 2 breasts." And then I flapped my arms up and down like a bird, and I said, "I want 2 wings. Dos breasts." Tap my chest. Dos. 2 wings, or 2 breasts, 2 wings. And I said, "I wanted a large drink." And she looked at me and she goes, "Okay, 2 breasts, 2 wings, large drink." I got it. I felt like an idiot.
And then they turned it into the chicken dance shortly after you left the country.
The post-game edition, expanded highlights. You hear from the manager before anyone else. It's brought to you by King's Honda. Jim Day with you, and there's a resident barber in the Reds clubhouse, and he is Big Jonathan Broxton, and boy, did he do some work today. The Reds trying to change things up a little bit. And check out Sam LeCure. LeCure said, I'm going to look in the mirror, and if it's something goofy, I'm going to keep it. Well, it's slightly goofy right there. In fact, he wasn't done. Mike Leake also got in on the act as you look at a picture of Sam with the rubber band and all, and Mike Leake maybe an even more unique look, the Mohawk look. And both guys said that if the Reds win the game tonight, you'll see that haircut tomorrow. If they lose, it's all shaved off. What do you think, Cowboy? You look good with that haircut right there?
I think it looks great on him.
I was getting ready to say before you jumped in there, that's not happening to the Cowboy.
You know, but when you're playing on a ball club and things are not quite going your way, I mean, that promotes team unity. That gets everybody pulling from the same direction. Yeah, it's funny and yeah, it looks kind of crazy, but when you're with the same 25 guys every day, you want everybody on the same page. You've heard this a million times, Tom, and so have I. Whatever it takes, just win, baby.
Well, right now the Reds on the short end of a 4-0 game against a man who has never lost. Not only is he never lost, Cole Hamels 9-0 in his career against the Reds, but the Phillies have never lost a game where Hamels has started for Philadelphia against the Reds.
You got the feeling right out of the gate that Cole Hamels was pitching with extreme confidence here tonight.
Well, he's working on a 4-hitter. One of the hits he allowed is a man who bats right now, Brandon Phillips. He had a 1-out single, little flare into right field back in the 4th inning.
I mean, we've seen guys come into this ballpark that have not pitched well against the Reds, and the first thing they do is start bouncing the ball, start throwing the ball off the plate, ball 3, walking guys. It's a little different when you know you've pitched well against the team. You are pounding that strike zone.
And it's not only beating the Reds for Hamel. It has been dominating the Reds for Hamel. 8-0, 9-0 if you include the playoff game, with an ERA right at 1.5. And a routine ground ball to Jimmy Rollins. Throwing the dirt and unable to handle it is Ryan Howard. Looked like Rollins took more than his sweet time to get rid of that thing, and then when he did, he didn't have a whole lot of mustard on it.
There's no doubt that he took some extra time, a couple of crow hops, and you can see him get around that ball and threw a sinker over there to Ryan Howard. Those long hops at first base are the toughest ones to handle. The short hops, you can get them pretty quick, or the real long hop, you can get them pretty quick. Not those. That was an in-betweener.
That's a way to get your first baseman hurt as well. I mean, it wasn't like that was thrown, 100 miles an hour, but that thing bounced. It looked like it came and got first on the fingers of Howard and then right into the leg of Howard. Right around the knee.
Yeah, that'd be just what you want. Snap an index finger and bust a kneecap on a bounce throw.
I tell you what, Hamels is not backing down from anybody in this Reds lineup. When he needs to make a pitch, more times than not, it has been a fastball and right down the can.
He has been true to form. He has stayed inside with authority all night. Occasional changeup away, but more times than not, he's coming in, cutting it, and pouring it in there.
From another fastball, and it swung on and popped up in the air this time in foul ground and out of play.
You get a lead in a ball game, especially a 4-run lead like this, even with a defensive miscue, as we saw from Jimmy Rollins there. If you're Cole Hamels, you're saying to yourself, I know Todd Frazier can hit the ball out of the ballpark. but he's not going to hit a grand slam here because there's only a runner at first base. I am going after this guy. And if you have that thought process, you're going to get ahead in the count. Then you're going to be able to expand the plate a little bit. You can make a quality pitch. Make it much more difficult on Frazier.
And that one gets away from Ruiz. That'll be a wild pitch on Cole Hamels, advancing Brandon Phillips into scoring position.
It looked like Hamels really tried to turn over a changeup there, and that one got away from him.
1-2 on Frazier. And then got him with a breaking ball. Fifth strikeout of the game for Cole Hamels. 2 outs here in the 6th. Well, tonight's crew that rode the Fan Express bus to the Reds game from Force Control Industries in Fairfield, Ohio. There's a gang unloading right there. If you'd like to get your group on board the Fan Express to Reds country, call the Reds Group Sales at 513-765-7600. That's the way to do it. Get somebody else to drive.
No doubt. You don't have to fool with parking.
And it's really convenient where they let you off if you have maybe a lot of senior citizens in your group. Maybe it's a community living housing development where they drop you off right where they drop off those handicapped right on Joe Nuxhall Way. And I mean, you're only maybe 100 feet from actually being in the ballpark, if that.
Well, they let you off right there in front of the Holy Grail, right? On the other side.
Exactly. Right by the Reds Hall of Fame.
Right by the Reds Hall of Fame. Yeah, you can't beat that. If I could see if they can come get me every day.
Well, we can start promoting that where you ride to the ballpark with a different group every night.
You got that right. Only problem is they're going to have to wait around until the game's done, and then we finish up here.
0-2 the count on Jay Bruce. And he's out on strikes, and the inning is over. An error man left. We go to the 7th. Phillies in front. 4-0. Summary after Cueto walked a batter and hit a batter. Both of them would score on a double by Dominic Brown. Brown would then score on a base hit by John Mayberry Jr. That's all in a 3-run fourth. In the fifth inning with one out, Jimmy Rollins down the right field line into the Philadelphia bullpen to make it a 4-0 lead. And so far, that's been more than enough for the ultimate Reds killer, Cole Hamels. So as we're winding down on just an absolutely beautiful day here in Cincinnati, it's turning into a spectacular night. And this crowd, near sellout crowd, needs something to get excited about from the Reds offensively. They have 3 more cracks at it. Now Logan Andrusik threw the ball very well, Cowboy, in that 6th inning. Struck out the side. He did walk about it. I tell you, he's throwing strikes tonight.
Well, the big key for Andrusik is the strike. And when he's feeling good and getting the ball in the strike zone and not trying to make hitters miss, there's a difference. When you're trying to throw a pitch that you want the hitter to miss, more times than not, that's going to be out of the strike zone. You have to make a quality pitch in the zone, just like that.
Well, he got it going on tonight. 5 batters, 4 strikeouts. 1 away here in the inning.
I mean, that's just, here it is, see if you can hit it. And realistically, that's the kind of stuff that Andrusik has. Biggest thing as a pitcher out of the bullpen, you have to pitch the same way when it's a 1-1 or a 2-1, your team leading type ball game, as you do when you're way behind or way ahead. You pitch as tough when it's tight, and you pitch as tough when the score is out of hand. And you have to figure out a way in your head to make yourself relax when the game is real tight. You have to figure out a way in your head to make yourself think that it's a 0-0 game when the game is a blowout.
Fly ball to Billy Hamilton for the 2nd out of the inning. Well, as you continue to tweet your photos using the hashtag #OhioFanPhoto, our fan photo of the game tonight brought to you by AT&T. And Lee, thank you very much. Chase Utley has been on base all 3 plate appearances, a pair of hits, and was hit by a pitch by Cueto in the 4th inning.
That should tell you something about your fastball with that swing of the bat by Chase Utley. 94 miles an hour, and Utley hit it over there by Ryan Howard in the on deck circle. And Utley's not usually late for anything.
Well, the Pirates are really starting to open up a big lead against Milwaukee. 7-3, and the Pirates are batting in the 6th inning with the bases loaded and nobody out. Toronto's taking a 2-1 lead over the Cardinals. That one's in the air, short left, and a diving attempt by Ludwig, but it falls in safely for a hit. 3rd hit of the game, 4th time that Chase Utley has reached base tonight. Ludwig has made really a large number of very nice plays out in left field here over the past 2.5 weeks. He's never been known as a guy who's going to win a Gold Glove. He never has won a Gold Glove, but I think that more times than not, done a pretty good job out there in left. That one hooked into right center by Howard. And that will advance Utley on to third. So a 2-out rally here for the Phillies on singles from Utley and Howard. And they have Marlon Byrd coming up.
If you're Logan Ondrusek here, this is where you really have to bow your neck. You cut through the bottom of the order awfully nice. Got the first couple of outs here in the inning. Could not afford to give up another run in any way, fashion, or form.
All right, Byrd digging in, and Ondrusek going to work, and a fly ball into right, which should end the inning. Jay Bruce waiting, and it will. So Logan takes care of business. A couple of scoreless innings. Reds have work to do, down 4. The Reds at half price with a Reach Magazine family ticket offer, plus the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger get a kid's Brandon Phillips growth chart thanks to College Advantage. So come on down to the ballpark. Love to have you here for that 4:10 game tomorrow. .110 on Sunday, and then the Dodgers come to town. Night games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 12:30 game on Thursday. And that is a base hit down the left field line by Ryan Ludwig. And that'll be a double to begin the Cincinnati 7th inning.
We've seen Hamels aggressive in the zone all night long, especially early in the count. He tries to sneak a fastball inside there to Ludwig, and that's where we've seen Hamels really pitch all night. And Ryan just puts the barrel to it right down the left field line. This is really where, if you're going to get to Hamels, it's got to be right now. He's shy of the 100 pitch mark. This next pitch will be 94. If you're going to make any hay, it's got to be now. Otherwise, Ryan Sandberg will be going down to that Philly bullpen.
1-1 on Zach Cozart. Couple of hits already in the game tonight. And a count of 1-2 strikes on Cozart. Well, the Reds at Fox Sports Ohio would love to send out a special hello to an avid Reds fan. Watches every single game. Wanda Schmidt watching the game tonight up in Troy, Ohio. Wanda, we hope you're having a great day. So you're rooting on the Reds here tonight, like a lot of other folks watching on the tube and right here at Great American Ballpark. So Wanda, hope everything's going well. Foul out of play. 1-2 still to Cozart.
Saw a very similar pitch sequence earlier that came back in the 6th inning against Frazier. He got ahead in the count. He started coming in with the fastball, and then he dropped that big sweeping curve right down around the back foot.
And a bouncing ball to the right side. One away in the inning. Ludwig on to third base, and here comes Ramon Santiago. Devin Mesoraco springs out of the Reds dugout. He has a bat in hand, helmet on, now in the Reds on deck circle. That's a dandy breaking ball right there. First pitch strike.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long the Joey Votto issue is going to stretch out. But the longer it comes, the more I think I may have Devin Mesoraco take some ground balls at first base when Johnny Cueto pitches. If he's not going to be behind the plate, I'll put him over there at first base and take my chances.
I thought the same thing 3 weeks ago when Jim Day went down and posed a question to Brian Price, and everybody, including Mesoraco, said I can't play anywhere else. I thought to myself, well, that's not exactly an optimistic way to look at it.
Well,
how many guys through the years in baseball have gone down there and at least played a little bit of first base?
I think that Mesoraco is a much better athlete than what he may be giving himself credit for, or what the Reds are giving him credit for. And I understand that there are going to be some days off for Devin. I get that. Every catcher has that. But if Yadier Molina can catch 147, 150 games a year, there's no reason to give Devin Mesoraco every 5th day off. Not with the way he hits the ball.
That one gets away, and the Reds are denied their first run of the game. Ball got away from Ruiz. Ludwig came down the line. Hamill covered the plate. And they take care of what would have been the first Reds run of this game. And Brian Price will come out and await word from Jay Bell as to whether this is something he might ask for a review on.
You see the ball bounce back towards the first base dugout. And for Ryan Ludwig, that's one of those balls where you start to break, seeing the ball bouncing away, but it did not bounce away hard enough to give Ludwig time to get to the plate. And Ryan just doesn't quite have the speed that he did in his younger years. Probably better served to have waited that one out.
All right, 2 away, 3-2 now on Santiago, and there's ball 4. And that is the first walk drawn by a Reds batter in the game tonight. And we gave you some of the numbers earlier. We talked about it right from the very beginning. You go back the last 14 games the Reds have scored. 14 of them. They have struck out, including tonight now, 129 times, and they have walked 15 times. That is roughly a 9-to-1 if you round it up. It's a 9-to-1 ratio, strikeouts to walks. The next closest team, going back over the last 2 weeks, has a 4-to-1 ratio, strikeout to walk. Reds are 9-to-1.
Yeah, and I think the biggest gist I garner from that stat is you miss some key players in your lineup. You miss a guy like Jay Bruce, who's not swinging the bat like he normally does during the season. You've got Votto out of the lineup. You've got other guys trying to be more aggressive, trying to drive in those runs, or trying to just get on base for that matter. And it just seems like the Reds are out of their game from a comfortability standpoint offensively.
Well, now the aforementioned Devin Mesoraco. 9 home runs, 27 runs batted in, a .324 batter. And a breaking ball is down around his feet. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I mean, you can lose every home run hitter you've got on your ball club, but that doesn't change the way that Billy Hamilton should approach his at-bats, or Ramon Santiago, Zach Cozart, any of those guys. Those guys are not going to be 30 home run hitters. It's not going to happen. But if you try to change and be that way, you're going to be a strikeout victim a whole lot.
Well, we told you the Pirates were bidding for more, leading 7-3 against Milwaukee. Well, they're still batting in the bottom of the 6th inning, and they have added 6 runs to that lead. And his ground ball to Rollins will end the Reds' 7th inning. We're off to the 8th, where the Phillies own a 4-0 lead. Ballpark. Every Sunday home game, you can take advantage of the Reach Magazine family deal. And the deal is, when one member of the family buys a full price ticket, they get the option to purchase 3 additional tickets at half price. I mean, where are you going to beat that? Every Sunday's a giveaway for the kids. 381-REDS, the number to dial for tickets. Well, they get 5 innings, 4 runs from Cueto, 2 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball from Logan Ondrusek. And now we get a look at left-hander Manny Parra.
Hasn't allowed a run in the last 4 times to the mound. Last 7 times to the mound, a 2.08 ERA for the Reds left-hander. With Sean Marshall still having the weakness in the shoulder and still not getting his velocity back, more and more will be expected of Manny Parra.
Pretty nice play right there by Todd Frazier, and he feeds Parra covering the bag for the first out of the inning.
It may seem simplistic to say this, Tom, but for Frazier playing on that side of the infield, the ball comes off the bat differently. You react differently than you would at third base. Yes, it's still a ground ball, but your body is so used to seeing the ball, and your brain is so used to seeing the ball come off the bat from the left side of the infield. Even a routine play can be a little different over there at first base. That hard breaking ball for Parra is a huge key to his success. An 83, 84 mile an hour breaking ball, when he's throwing that for strikes, he can be awfully tough.
And Mayberry an 0-1 count, and now 0-2. Philadelphia batting here in the top half of the 8th inning with a 4-0 lead. Cole Hamels working on a 5-hit shutout. The Reds have not scored since a solo home run in the first inning in yesterday's game by Todd Frazier. And that is the only run they have scored since the 3rd inning of Wednesday night's game against Ryan Vogelsong. On the ground to Cozart, Manny Parra comes on and retires the first 2 batters in the inning. Well, you win your way to NASCAR's Quaker State 400 in the Kentucky Speedway Getaway Sweepstakes on board the Fan Express. Enter today's keyword LAPS, L-A-P-S, on the entry page at foxsportsohio.com. Stay tuned every day for a new keyword and a new chance to win. All right, good work so far by Andrusic and now Manny Parra. And here's Brynja. Crowd of almost 39,000 here tonight, a near sellout. And they have had very little reason to get very excited tonight. I mean, they're just waiting for something to happen. Reds have 2 more cracks at them in the 8th and the 9th innings. One and 2 on Brynja.
But if they don't score 4 runs and get back in this thing, maybe the guys out of the bullpen can get a couple more strikeouts. And then we can get us some pizza.
Two and two with 2 down and nobody on. Reds will have a top of the order in the bottom of the 8th inning. And certainly no reason to have any action yet in that Philadelphia bullpen. At least we haven't seen any down there. Pretty good pitch right there by Parra. 94 miles per hour. It just missed. Didn't miss that time. So an excellent inning aboard by Manny Parra. Top of the order. Can the Reds get it going?
Mazda pitch by pitch, and pitching it has been, and it's been Cole Hamels all night long. He's come inside, he's gone outside with the changeup, he's gone up when he's had to, but more times than not it's been right down there. And Cole Hamels, from the time he stepped out onto the mound, he's been on his game. And we really thought coming into tonight with Cueto on the mound for the Reds that this was going to be an awfully tight affair. And it has been tight offensively for the Reds, but the Phillies, even though they came into this series having a difficult time hitting the baseball, tonight they put 4 runs on the board.
Well, you talk to those who watch this Phillies team play every day, and they will tell you that their season, or at least since the beginning of May, has been some of the ugliest in recent Philadelphia Phillies memory. You may remember last weekend they had that series against the New York Mets where they knew going in that they had to play 5 games because of rain early. 5 games in a series. Well, once they got through the first one, the next 3 went 14 innings, 14 innings, 11 innings, which they lost the last 2. The final game of the series, they got pounded, giving up 11 runs as Hamilton has gone on strikes. They have not won a game since the second game of that series. And some of you may have seen the highlights. I mean, they had multiple situations where they threw to the wrong base. They overthrew cutoff men. They asked players who you would think know how to bunt. Multiple times could not get down a bunt. It has been really ugly for the Phillies of late.
I think when you have a veteran ball club and you're having difficulty in that fashion, not being able to get bunts down, not being able to execute the sacrifice fly type situations, moving the runners over, making bad base running decisions. I mean, there are a lot of teams that go through that, but when it's consistently bad, I think that tells you a little bit about your leadership in your clubhouse.
And of course, if you're Ryan Sandberg, I mean, you've been, this guy's paid his dues now. I mean, obviously a Hall of Fame player with the Chicago Cubs.
I don't think there's any doubt that Ryan Sandberg understands what is going on in his locker room and what's going on the field of play. And what you try to do as a manager is you try to keep everything as smooth as you can. So you try to keep the faith of your veteran guys. You try to keep pushing those young guys in the right direction. But if your veteran guys continue to show that they're not going to do what you need them to do, both in the locker room and on the field, well, that's when it's time to ruffle some feathers. And not everybody likes that, but it's part of competitive sports.
You may remember, it was very early in the year when Sandberg already had one confrontation with Jimmy Rollins. That was going back to spring training. Many may forget that Ryan Sandberg's original organization as a player
was the Phillies.
Was the Philadelphia Phillies.
And I don't have any qualms with Ryan Sandberg and how he's going about what's going on with the Phillies right now. If there's a guy that can straighten this out and has the intestinal fortitude to do it, he can handle that.
And Yak backs up on it, throws out Pena, 2 away. Sandberg grew up in Washington State, Spokane, Washington. And the Phillies drafted him in the 20th round in 1978, made his Phillies debut 3 years later in '81. And then at the end of that year was traded to the Cubs, where he became a Hall of Fame player, career .285 batter. Hit nearly 300 home runs, knocked in better than 1,000 runs, had over 400 career doubles.
And let's be reminded too, Tom, that Ryan Sandberg didn't just show up in the Phillies organization after his playing days and coach for a year and then here's the managerial job. He's paid his dues. He went back on the buses, went back down to the minor leagues, did all the things that everyone asked him to do as far as managing in the minor leagues in order to get back to this spot.
And everybody thought it was a slam dunk when Sandberg started managing initially all those years in the Cubs organization. With Peoria, Tennessee, Iowa, that with all the turmoil the Cubs have had in recent years, he was without a doubt going to be the next Chicago Cubs manager. And then for whatever reason, they made the decision they were going with Dale Swaim rather than Ryan Sandberg. He was completely shocked, really upset, and left to manage for 2 years in a row their AAA affiliate in Lehigh Valley. Came to coach with a big league club last year and strike to Phillips 3-1 before taking over on an interim basis behind the very successful Charlie Manuel. The
toughest part to me of managing, and I've never been a manager anywhere, anytime. But I've played for some awfully good ones. I think the toughest part of it is the confrontation with the veteran player. And it does come. And it's not just about a veteran player aging and not quite being able to do what he did in his younger days. It's a veteran player who takes advantage of the long-term contract and just expects everything just to go his way. And that's not what the big leagues is about. You are paid to put numbers on the board, and you are paid to win. And if you can't do that for me, then we got a problem.
Well, how about that? He had 2 pitches in a row Phillips thought were balls. And then Hamill starts to walk off the mound on a pitch he thinks is a strike. His 125th pitch of the game. And is that going to be all for Cole Hamels?
And it appears that it will be. You see Brandon Phillips, he was freezing right there. That ball was obviously below the kneecap. And we're talking about the front kneecap as the ball comes across the plate. It's not the back one.
Well, Cole Hamels again has dominated the Reds, a team he has never lost to in his major league career. And he won't get the loss tonight, but can the Reds hang a loss on this Philadelphia bullpen? This will be our Skyline Chili call to the pen. We'll tell you about the new pitcher in a moment. Ohio brought to you by Chevy. Visit your tri-state Chevy dealer today, and by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, ranked #1 in the United States in pediatric cancer care. That's according to U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. All right, Cowboy, that's all for Cole Hamels. 125 pitches in the game. It's the 3rd time he's thrown at least that many in a game this year. And he will give way to right-hander Mike Adams. Adams been around a long time.
A lot of breaking balls. And they are the hard breaking balls. Big sweeping arm action. Seems like every pitch he throws is cutting away from a righty or into a lefty. He got a decent fastball too. He just likes that slider.
A little roller foul by Frazier, and Adams jumps ahead of Todd at 0 balls and 2 strikes.
To me, that's the best type of breaking ball. You can't really see it break, but you know that it's moving because of the way that it comes off the bat, if it's on the bat at all. Those last 2 pitches didn't look like they moved a whole lot. You ask Todd Frazier, Yeah, it moved the last 6 inches. See that ball rolling down the first baseline there, right off the end of the bat. If that ball had gone another 5 feet, it'd come back into fair territory. We've seen that a few times here this year. Eight-ball corner pocket cue shot. Give you a little English on that one.
Yeah, right. 0-2 to count on Frazier. Well, it came with that fastball at 92 off the outside corner.
Did you see how far Ruiz set up on that pitch? Making sure that he didn't leave one back over the plate for Frazier. He set way outside, almost in the left-handed hitter's batter's box. See if he goes out there again.
Yep, and that's it. Adams a strikeout of Frazier. Hamels in line to pick up only his 2nd win of the year.
Cowboy Jeff Brantley, if you missed it earlier, was demonstrating when he played winter ball in Puerto Rico when he was going through the drive-thru and was trying to order some chicken wings and a couple of chicken breasts to someone that he thought didn't speak English. Turns out she spoke English. Which leads us to our Miller Time moment. It reminded me of this. And do you guys remember when Cowboy demonstrated how he cooks them ribs on the grill? I got to get a little bit over here and a little bit over here and then get some right there, right now, right here. Yes, sir. Tom, save me.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate it. We catch you on the flip side. We gone. Bye-bye.
That was good stuff. You haven't done that, that barbecue demonstration in a while. I think maybe on another game when you're back over here for a whole series, as Sam LeCure takes over on the mound. But you ought to give some of our, more recent Reds fans that have just come on board your grilling expertise.
We'll do that. I've got a new little marinade that I've been using lately, and we'll share that next time.
Really?
Yeah, it is some kind of
on chicken, beef, anything. Okay.
And it's very simple.
Okay, well, that's key.
And everybody would have it in their pantry.
Really?
Just figured it out by mistake.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
Oh, it's good too.
Well, now that you're back and healthy and feeling good after the neck surgery, we are thrilled to have you back.
Well, it's good to be back. It's good to be back with no pain.
Ben Revere, young man, grew up down in Lexington, Kentucky. comes off the bench and hooks one into right field, a base hit, and he's aboard to begin the 9th inning against Sam LeCure.
I will say this, Tom, going into that surgery, that's about as nervous as I've ever been.
Well, I would imagine so. I mean, you're talking about your neck now. It's not like getting your knee operated on.
Yeah, just one of those things. But I tell you what, I'd do it again tomorrow.
Because you feel that much better, right?
I mean, and it was immediate. It was immediate. Ian Rodway at Beacon. And if your neck's bothering you, if your back's bothering you, I would go there tomorrow. I'm telling you. I put that off for so many years, and I'm ready to go out there and throw batting practice. And I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that. I can't even remember the last time I could say that.
See, but I think both of us would rather see you do that chicken breast thing than go out and throw a little BP.
Yeah. Dos alas, dos wings. Dos breasts, those wings, whatever it was. But the worst part is when the gal said, 2 wings, 2 breasts, large Coke. I got you. And I felt like an idiot. It's bad enough to have to do that to try to order some food. Then the gal spoke English. Here's your sign. Clown.
Oh man, that is some funny. Well, hey, look, it doesn't make you a clown.
I sure felt like one.
And Rivera runs very, very well. Gets a stolen base as that ball got away from Brian Pena. Anytime drive of the game, Jimmy Rollins off Johnny Cueto with 1 out in the 5th inning, just fair down the right field line, and for Rollins home run number 7.
And it came on a first pitch changeup. Normally you don't see too many guys, number one, get a first pitch changeup at any point in time, but off Cueto, I don't know how he kept it fair and how he kept it on the bat head to begin with. Wonder how that loop in the top of Sam's head, where he got his head shaved and kept that little the front door ponytail. I wonder how that feels underneath that cap.
Well, we'll give you another look at that photograph from the number Jonathan Broxton did on Sam LeCure. Take a look at that.
Because, you know, everybody's particular on how the cap feels when you put it on, and especially when you get out there and you're in a game situation. And to have that little bit of hair kind of stick out and that right where the crease comes across the hat. You know why the folks are getting fired up now.
To the count on Jimmy Rollins. Rivera at second base with 2 away. Pulled foul. Of course, a lot of folks sticking around for the big fireworks show after the game tonight. Tell you what, we travel all across the country, and of course the folks who make the fireworks for most of the big fireworks shows all over the country and all over the world is right here in Cincinnati. Rozzy. And it's no wonder that the best fireworks display after Friday or Saturday night ball games all over baseball, at least those that we've seen, and we've seen most of them, are right here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that when you brought that up, because your dad and I talk about that on the radio side. I've never seen any better through my playing days or broadcasting days. And, you know, you've done them where they've got them at the football stadiums as well. I mean, have you ever seen any that are better than that?
And I mean, it's not like it's, you know, 5 or 7 or 8 minutes. I mean, you know, it's at least 20 minutes every time you're here. And
heck, the first 2 minutes of the fireworks here at Great American Ballpark are like the finale in a lot of places.
That's right. And what they're doing is, you know, they're getting basically a warm-up. You're getting dress rehearsals for the big Cincinnati Bell WEBN fireworks show that, you know, takes place over Labor Day weekend here in Cincinnati, among the biggest in the country, and they sync it all up to music, and it really is an incredible undertaking. And they're working on all that stuff, the new stuff, fireworks. There's ball 4 to Rollins, and the first 2 aboard here in the Philadelphia 9th inning. I remember the first time I really got to watch it after moving back into town. My wife Polly and I had held a charity function over there at that front gate suite. And so I was working a game. But when the game was over, we went down there and you know, everybody that had bought into being in, and that's it right there. I mean, you're looking right out into the sky. Nothing is above you. Nothing's blocking you. It's an unbelievable place to watch a game. And you know, all the kids are out there and got a chance to actually sit down and watch the fireworks. It's incredible.
It's pretty spectacular. Every time my kids come up, Daddy, they're going to have fireworks this week. If it's Friday, they are.
Of course, the Reds will be out of town next weekend. They'll be in Milwaukee. It's a big road trip through Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. And then they're just back for a 3-game weekend series against Toronto before hitting the road, a long road trip against the Cubs, the Giants, and San Diego. And before you know it, it's 4th of July. Nice play by Pena on a pitch in the dirt. Sam struggling with command a little bit here tonight.
Well, we talked earlier about how many innings per start that the Reds starting pitchers have logged, and it's as good as it gets in baseball. But there's always a downside to something good when it comes to pitching. If your starters pitch deep into the game all the time, well, then your bullpen's not going to get regular work. Or if they don't pitch deep enough into the game, your bullpen's going to get worn out.
Did he go around the appeal? No. 3-2 the count on Carlos Ruiz.
Didn't quite start this one high enough. You could see Ruiz start, and I think he recognized the breaking ball just early enough to be able to hold up.
Base hit into left field. They're going to hold the runner at third. And the Phillies have the bases loaded with nobody out here in the ninth inning.
Well, you're right, Tom. We have not seen Sam have control issues really at any point this year, but he boxed himself into a hole there with Ruiz when he didn't get any kind of action on the 2-2 breaking ball. Got to 3-2, had to come back with a fastball, and he had to get enough of the plate to make sure it was a strike, and Ruiz was all over it.
Well, it's going to be all for Sam LeCure. No, it's not. I beg your pardon. They had Jonathan Broxton ready. Thought maybe Pico had started to look out towards the bullpen, but no, Broxton not ready quite yet. So they'll stay with LeCure now to face Chase Utley with the bases loaded, none out.
And I think if I had to pick anybody on this Phillies club that I would not want to face with the bases loaded, it would be this guy. I'd rather face Howard. I'd rather face Rollins, Ruiz, any of them.
Well, the infield in, Reds already down 4-0. And Utley down a strike. Utley has been on base 4 times tonight. Single, hit by a pitch, single, single. He's had a single to right, a single to left center, and a single to left field.
There were a few years there for Utley where I think I'd rather have faced Michael Jack Schmidt than to face this guy with the bases loaded. Everything he hit seemed to be right on the barrel and right into the gap.
Well, you're not lying. Tardy there and dumps it foul and out of play. Well, the inning began with a single by Revere. Jimmy Rollins drew a walk. Carlos Ruiz single to load him up for Chase Utley.
Reds are going to try to cut down Revere at the plate. He's got some speed, so it's going to take a ball right at an infielder even to get him at the plate.
High fly ball into left center field. Hamilton makes a catch, and he'll air it out all the way to the plate. Not going to be in time. And Revere scores. Sac fly RBI by Utley to make it a 5-0 Philadelphia lead here in the ninth inning.
Almost appeared from pitch number 1. That was the game plan for Chase Utley. He was dead set on up the middle or the other way, but he wanted to get the ball into the air at the least. Because even on the breaking ball, Utley fouled it off over the third base dugout, and normally with a righty on the mound and a lefty at the plate, you throw an off-speed pitch, they pull it foul down the right field line. Not in that at bat.
Runners at first and second with 1 away, and Ryan Howard down a strike. So we were talking about some teams earlier red hot in baseball, perhaps none hotter than the Toronto Blue Jays. Jose Reyes has just delivered a 2-out run scoring single off Jason Mott. Toronto still bats in the bottom of the 8th inning with a 3-1 lead over the Cardinals. Here's strike 2 on Howard.
I mean, that club is just powdering the baseball offensively. And they've got 2 former Reds that were basically released in Juan Francisco and Edwin Encarnacion, and they're hitting the ball. They're not just hitting the ball on the nose, they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark with regularity. And that doesn't even count Batista.
Pitch in the dirt, and both runners are going to advance. That'll be a wild pitch on LeCure.
Well, you hate that there, especially with Ryan Howard at the plate. Any kind of ground ball in the infield, he is an easy double play.
Well, you talk about Toronto just very quickly. You know, most of the teams in baseball, you'll look and see how many home runs they have. You look over in the American League, and a number of teams in the 40s, a couple of teams in the 50s, a couple in the 60s. And then you get to Toronto. 87 home runs. That is in 61 games. Well, his pitch.
LeCure tries to start this ball in and run it back over the inside corner. We've seen it many times, but it just didn't quite run back enough.
Right by Frazier, and 2 more runs are going to score, and it is 7-0 Philadelphia.
That's got to be an error. Frazier was in, but that ball was hit right at him, and instead of working from the ground up, Todd went down and was talking earlier about the ball coming off the bat so much differently in your mind, just the way you process the ball, and obviously it's very quick. When you're on the right side of the infield versus the left, your reactions are different, and that ball was by Frazier before he could even really decide what to do with the glove.
So it is charged an error. The batter Howard does get credit for a run batted in, not 2.
Well, this one has turned ugly.
Well, look, you give Cole Hamels a 4-0 lead against the Reds, it's already ugly. Still only 1 out in the inning, and 1-2 on Marlon Byrd.
Well, if you're Brian Price, you brought LeCure in just to get an inning of work and just to finish out the ball game. But now you're in a position where he's thrown, this will be his 28th pitch. He's going to be into the 30s. You've got Broxton up. You don't really want to bring Broxton into this ball game.
Yeah, there'd be no use to that.
But you don't want to leave LeCure out there just to suck up runs either.
That one hooked down the left field line into the corner. It'll go to the wall. Howard on his way to third, and they're going to hold him there after a double by Marlon Byrd. And that's it for Sam LeCure. Here comes Brian Price. So LeCure gives up 3 hits, a walk, so far 3 runs, and leaves with 2 on and only 1 out here in the 9th inning in Philadelphia with a 7-0 lead. We will be back in a moment.
was up throwing in the bullpen when LeCure got in trouble. But I imagine after the 3 runs crossed, Brian Price was probably just hoping to get through the inning without having to get Broxton into the game. But the big fella is in either way. This will be the 19th time Broxton has taken the mound. He's only allowed 1 run in 17 in the 3rd innings. Only 7 hits during that time. So this has been a member of the Reds bullpen that has been quite dynamic, and that's putting it mildly.
Well, he continues to get just better as a pitcher. There was a time that there was very little doubt that Broxton could be defined as more of a thrower. I mean, he just threw such unbelievable heat with the fastball back when he first came up with the Dodgers. But now, I'm not so sure hitters know exactly what's coming from Broxton.
He's got awfully good command of both the fastball and the breaking ball. He'll throw either one at any time to anyone, and he can throw them on both sides of the plate.
A fly ball to right field. Bruce will handle it. This will bring in another Philadelphia run. Howard will score. Throw goes to third, cut off. 8-0 Philadelphia. Sac fly run batted in by Dominic Brown, who had 27 runs batted in all year. He has 3 tonight.
And Brown did the same thing against the Reds when the Reds were in Philadelphia. And that big 5 RBI night.
So now the batter is John Mayberry Jr. Runner at third, 2 outs, 4 runs home in the Philadelphia 9th inning, and Broxton misses away, ball 1. Reds and Phillies at 4:10 tomorrow afternoon. We invite you to come on down to the ballpark. Here on Fox Sports Ohio, we'll have it for you with a pregame show. Reds Live getting underway at 3:30 with Brian Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro, Jim Day and company. Chris Welsh will be part of the pregame show as well tomorrow. Alfredo Simon against right-hander Roberto Hernandez. Homer Bailey and David Buchanan will go at it on Sunday. Regular start time at 1:10. We've had some very odd weekend starting times this year, whether it's national television on a Sunday night, Flying Pig Marathon, and now this weekend, to avoid having the game not shown on television, we're starting at 4:10. Well, this top of the 9th inning has been almost 30 minutes in length. It was roughly about 10 till 10 when the Phillies came to bat here in the top of the 9th inning.
Walks, errors, and pitching changes. They'll do it to you.
Fly ball right field, and that'll do it. A 4-run 9th inning for Philadelphia. And they lead 8-0 after 8.5. John Morrell Hot Dog play of the game. This is all Philadelphia really has needed tonight. A 2-run double by Dominic Brown to put him in front 2-0. They've scored 3 times in the 4th, once in the 5th on a Rollins home run. And then the 4 against LeCure, 3 of which are earned in the 9th. It adds up to an 8-0 Philadelphia lead. The Reds will try and avoid being shut out for what would be the 7th time. Cesar Hernandez takes over at second base. And their closer, Jonathan Papelbon, takes over on the mound.
Well, Hamels pitched well against the Reds in Philadelphia. And in his start, that was the night that Dominic Brown had the 5 RBIs. Hamels has pitched awfully good here tonight, and he's got the offensive support from Dominic Brown again. You know, that double down the left field line, that's got to make hitting coach Steve Henderson awfully happy, because that's what they have really been working on with Brown, trying to hit the ball left center and the other way on the ball that is out over the plate. There were times early in the season, that same pitch that he hit the double on that put them out, put the Phillies out in front, that was a ball he was just grounding weakly to the second baseman.
Well, normally your closer obviously is not going to get much work when you're in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. Well, Papelbon, even though this is not a save situation, coming in to try and get a little work done. This is a breakout night tonight for this Philadelphia offense. Again, we go back to the first week of May when they were a game over 500. They've lost 20 out of 29 since. In the 29 games, a month worth of baseball, they've been shut out 7 times and ranked 26th in runs per game in Major League Baseball, all the while hitting .224 as a team. And that's straight into the air and should be out number 1 here in the 9th. It is.
Well, you look back to that series in Philly, the Reds shut out the Phillies in that first ball game. Alfredo Simon threw awfully well, but the Phillies came back and scored 20 runs combined in the next 2 ball games.
Ryan Ludwig, one of 3, doubled down the left field line his last time up, and he came the closest of any Red to scoring a run in this game when he was standing at third in the bottom of the 7th inning, and Hamels threw a pitch that got about 10-15 feet away from Carlos Ruiz, and Ludwig, by the time he made the decision to come down the line, Ruiz picked it up, fired a strike to the covering Cole Hamels, who tagged him out. Handled out in left field, and the Reds are down to their final out. So the Reds had not scored a run since a home run by Todd Frazier in the first inning against Madison Bumgarner yesterday. And that is the only run they have scored since the 2-run 3rd inning on Wednesday night against Ryan Vogelsong. Cozart, a pair of hits and 3 at-bats tonight. We have Reds Live coming up, and it's about to come up as soon as this one comes down. And the Phillies win the opening game of this series. Reds have dropped 3 in a row since a 4-game winning streak. Philadelphia, an 8-0 winner tonight. Hamill still remains unbeaten against the Reds, and Johnny Cueto's record slips to 5-5. Time for Reds Live right now on Fox Sports Ohio.